Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing some quick little love notes from your soulmate. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Lemon Calcite. Group 2 is the Caribbean Calcite. And group 3 is the Purple Fluorite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Lemon Calcite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your soulmate want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, and they say you've been in my dreams. So strong energetic connection between you and your soulmate at this point in time. They may be getting messages in dreams that are urging them to take a step closer to you. If you find yourself in a no contact situation, you may have been popping up a lot in the dream space, indicating to them kind of this urge or request to come home to the connection, that it's time to take things to the next level, to the next stage. There's a sense of curiosity with this energy as well, that especially if this is somebody that you are dealing with at this present time, that the communications between the two of you, it goes far beyond just your interactions on the physical plane. It's almost as if those conversations carry over into the dream space. The freedom of what is able to be expressed energetically or even in terms of words or metaphors or imagery, there's a freedom in that dream space that may at this point in time be lacking in terms of your material world communications. Maybe this is somebody that, you know, hasn't been in your life for very long. You're just starting to get to know one another, and so it's really appealing to them, the fact that there is this other kind of venue or realm in which there are no limitations, the constraints of time or how familiar or unfamiliar you are with one another, fears and hesitations on the part of the ego, all of that seems to dissolve in that liminal space. And so it feels to be a sense of comfort, whatever is taking place in that dream space, a lot of healing energy exchanged back and forth between the two of you in that realm as well, that your soulmate is very consciously aware of. They may be starting to really look into this, into the idea of soul connections a lot more, things that happen in the dream space that are kind of confirmed by then what the two of you are exchanging in terms of conversation on the material plane. Or if you find yourself in a no contact situation, it almost feels to be that after they're dreaming about you, they're kind of doing a little bit of investigative work there, finding some synchronicities with things maybe that you're posting online or things that they are looking back on that maybe you have spoken about with one another before. And it's almost taken some time to kind of digest that a little bit, marinate on that a little bit, but a lot of truth and clarity is emerging from that kind of world in between the worlds. They also say, you are my safe place. You are my home. So this really ties into the idea of wanting to move closer towards you, to return to the connection. Again, kind of this homing beacon that has been sent out in the dream space from you to your soulmate, or even vice versa. The two of you very mutually, kind of at the soul level, calling one another, beckoning one another to explore kind of the depths and possibilities of this connection more than you have at this point in time, or an urge at the soul level on both of your parts, that any period of separation that might have been necessary, that it's almost time to wrap that up. Whatever that purpose was for the two of you being at a distance, it's almost like these loose ends have been tied up individually, and so now kind of begins that process of moving back toward one another for the purposes of reconciliation, reunion, or to just sort of elevate your connection to the next level. Your soulmate also feels very free and very comfortable being themselves, being very authentic. It's almost an energy of they can just take off their masks and breathe this huge sigh of relief when they are with you. Energetically, they feel very free in your presence, very accepted, very loved in a way that may at one point in time have been very triggering or confusing for them. Kind of this openness and this acceptance, even on places and at different points where you're not necessarily seeing eye to eye or agreeing. There's almost an energy of allowance with this, that they are very much drawn to or drawn back to, very free to be themselves individually and kind of stand in that sovereignty, while at the same point in time being encouraged to kind of step into a different version of themselves that only really emerges when they are with you, that they are missing this ability to be this version of them when the two of you are at a distance with one another. And they seem to be getting a lot of signs that it's almost time to reinvest in this, take this to the next level. Space may have been created at this point in time in both of your material worlds in order to facilitate or house or be kind of that safe space for the homecoming of the two of you to one another, in order to birth this next version of what's possible individually and also together in this connection. They also say, do I have what it takes? I think about this every day. So they may be in a period of doing some intense shadow work at this point in time, confronting a lot of the aspects within self that have been triggered by the nature of their feelings for you, the interactions between the two of you, the connection in general. If you find yourself in a no contact circumstance or at a distance from one another, this feels to be some of the things that they are really pondering and examining at this point in time. It feels that they have surrendered somewhat to the stage of growth and development that they are being beckoned towards, or that they have been really immersed in various sort of ways, experiencing on a physical level, energetically speaking, kind of confronting all the barriers within themselves and in their world, as far as the love that they feel, the emotions that they feel, the possibilities that they feel with you, and then having to confront kind of the limitations or all the things that contradict that version, that vibration, both within themselves and in their outside material world. So it feels to be almost like a slow progress back towards you, or to sort of step this situation up to the next level. But with this is also, again, that energy of curiosity. This is someone who's trying to be very consistent, trying to take steps forward, maybe at a slow pace. Other times it's kind of these rapid leaps, these kind of quantum leaps forward, beyond kind of the fear tactics of the mind or other sort of circumstances in the material world that might encourage them to sort of pull away or lean back or only perceive limitation as opposed to raw potential in the situation with you. They also say, I want to start a family with you. So this is definitely the idea of creating something new, creating the next manifestation of your connection with one another. You represent, again, that very safe space, that homecoming kind of energy, something that they are very unaccustomed to. It's very unusual for them in this way. Even if this is someone who's been in committed relationships, they, have a history in romance with other partners. They may have been married married at one point in time or in other kind of like committed relationships. There's just something different. There's a level of authenticity that they feel with you, it's something brand new. You bring forth a brand new version of them. There's less kind of a need to sort of hide who they are or to try and contort versions of themselves in order to fit maybe what they had perceived was expected within them within a domestic dynamic, or other connections and types of people that they've been with before. That maybe this is somebody who's kind of has people-pleasing tendencies, for example. So they've really kind of put their own needs secondary in order to keep the other person overly kind of in charge of the situation, or prioritizing somebody else's emotional needs or desires, dreams, and goals, having themselves be really secondary, just being that sort of support system for somebody else. With you, they feel very seen and supported, and at the same time, there's an energy that you bring forth something within them as well, where there is this urge to kind of have that reciprocal support system between the two of you that goes beyond just kind of surface level partnership. This is almost triggering and motivating one another to kind of step into that better and best version of self. They see you and this situation as an environment where it's acceptable to kind of like question and to grow and to explore and to be very curious, these aspects and kind of versions of themselves that there hasn't necessarily been the proper environment for these qualities within them to thrive or to be manifested in quite this way that they feel drawn to, or that has already started to take form in the situation with you. And the more that they're leaning into this and finding that energy of nurturing and acceptance, feeling that from you vibrationally, experiencing that with you in terms of ways in which you are just allowing this person to sort of move very organically along their own path, as the two of you are kind of ebbing and flowing back and forth with one another, either at a distance or in just your ongoing dynamic and interaction with one another in real time. That this is something that this is almost a quality of a forever person that they may not have even known was possible with somebody before, or that they were needing, that they were craving. But now that they've experienced it with you, there's a desire for more. There's a desire to return to that, to foster that, to support that, to really exert a lot of effort toward helping to create more of that safe space between the two of you. Also a lot of confrontational energy within themselves, almost recognizing that as much as you represent energetically a safe space, they are feeling this sort of sense of duty or obligation to also become that comparable safe space within themselves as well, to really help to encourage you to grow and to blossom into the fullest version of you, uplifted on the wings of love. I also say thank you for loving me, even though there were times when I didn't show you that same love. So this can definitely be a circumstance where you've gone back and forth with one another, even presently in a no contact situation, or communication may be a little bit tense or strained between the two of you. It definitely feels that your soulmate has gone through a period of triggering and some things that needed to be kind of cleared away externally or internally that may have led to some difficulties on their part, things that they were facing in the material world, things that they were facing energetically, the two of you really reverberating off one another, energetically speaking, kind of picking up on this vibration and having that manifest in different manners in both of your lives. And nevertheless, through all of this, it feels that they've reached a point of clarity, or almost like a landing spot within themselves. They may have created some kind of balance. Balance has been restored somewhat. The two of you energetically supporting one another in this process. And it's given them this opportunity then to have this clarity that, despite the ups and downs the two of you have been through, that you have almost represented, again, this kind of like anchored safe space, this constancy, of presence for them, where even if the communication's strained, even if you're in no contact at this point in time, as they're tapping back into your energy at this point, they are feeling that same consistency and receptivity, that is encouraging them to continue to rise beyond a version of themselves, to continue to press through a challenging phase in order to excavate and bring forth that better version of them, or this next kind of manifestation of who they are being called to become. And so it's something that they have a lot of gratitude for you, allowing them the time and space to kind of go through this process and this journey very internally and individually for themselves. They also say you were right. I should have listened to you. So this can tie into maybe having to do with connections that they were involved in, lifestyle choices, things that were not necessarily in their highest good, certain belief systems, vibrations, or paths that they were walking down, that you had maybe at one point in time given them an ultimatum. You had tried to encourage them to focus on other things, to kind of question their priorities, or to restructure their life in some way. And it feels like at one point there was kind of a resistance to that, a resistance to change, a resistance to maybe giving up some things, or giving up some habits that were very long-term for this person, maybe even just belief systems about love and partnership. A lot of this could have been unspoken, just this vibration of acceptance and safety and nurturing, and kind of this freedom to be an authentic version of them. That although they were very much drawn to that, there's a part of them that was kind of clinging to a mask or an illusion within, some kind of coping mechanisms or tools within, maybe some tendencies towards self-sabotage that had kind of interfered or operated as a wedge in this situation. And it almost feels that it's taken some kind of distance, either your soulmate pulling their energy back in order to kind of go within and introspect, go through maybe like a dark night of the soul, some tower moments, some restructuring in their life in a lot of ways in order to come to this point of clarity, to be able to see you in this connection with fresh eyes, that just you being you and your authenticity represented that before, but it was almost like there was a level of denial. They weren't wanting to really heed that call. They weren't really wanting at first to recognize that, or to admit that to themselves, that what they had been seeking, this kind of sanctuary in the form of the allowance of love and a connection with another person, that it was there, it was available for them, it was right before their eyes. And so a bit of kind of the ego putting up a lot of protest. But it feels like somebody who, at this stage, at least in their journey, even if you find yourself at a distance from one another, something has shifted within them energetically. They're viewing you from a fresh perspective, and kind of moving out of an energy of pushing you away, or trying to outrun these feelings, outrun these energies, and starting to sort of shift back around with this fresh lens, kind of with this clarity and this freedom that they have created for themselves, or that they have been, gifted through just sort of the changes that have taken place. It's allowing them to see and perceive you and kind of what this connection has to offer to them from a fresh perspective. They also say, I want to kiss you. So this is definitely the energy of wanting to move in closer, wanting to kiss and make up, to really appreciate you, to celebrate this connection in a way that they may not have, or weren't able to, or weren't prepared to do previously. This could be something definitely that, these feelings caught the two of you off guard. And so instead of just sort of moving full force into the possibilities of what could grow between the two of you, there was almost a need to kind of dismantle or move certain things out of the way to create that fallow field, that sort of open space in which new possibilities could germinate. A new type of love and connection had the possibility to really thrive. And again, a period of sort of distance, or pushing, or trying to outrun these feelings, and the energetic pull in your direction, the magnetization to you. It feels that they have really come to a place of surrender and have grown beyond that. This is not the energy of defeat. This is almost the energy of relinquishing that kind of resistance that they had been putting up, starting to really examine and see, and to really question and choose a different way from the part of themselves that might have been in denial about what this connection, what these energies were really truly offering to them. This may be somebody who has kind of fears of commitment, fears of heartbreak, and almost this very nurturing and warm energy of an embrace that this situation or the dynamic between the two of you represented or represents even currently. This could have been something that was very desirable for them, very alluring for them, but also brought up a lot of triggering, a lot of pain, a lot of past wounds that they have needed time to kind of unpack and to move away from, things they've needed to clear out and dislodge from themselves energetically to be able to create that expanse in which more intimacy of a deeper and transcendent variety can be created between the two of you. And they also say, I am learning that there is no room for love if there is fear within our hearts. So more of that energy of things that needed to be cleared out, moved away from, energetic hooks from the past, ties from the past, versions of themselves that they needed to really confront, really recognize, and to be able to create a crossroads or to be confronted with a crossroads for themselves about choosing the path of fear or choosing the path of love, releasing old ideas, releasing old patterns, old lifestyles, old habits, old ways of living, or even just ways of holding the vibration of love within themselves. Kind of being introduced to, the possibility of something very beautiful, very, with a lot of growth potential, but at the same time then being challenged and tasked to kind of eliminate barriers within themselves, literally in their life or energetically within, that allows them to kind of give and receive more reciprocally this sort of horizon of love and affection that is possible. And so it feels to be something, perhaps the two of you even on these parallel paths of sort of clearing things away in order to create that open space where you're able to really let love in, or let this variety or type or kind of frequency of love more deeply within yourselves. Definitely a journey for two people coming into more of a space of love for themselves, which definitely in this case it feels like involves sort of removing all barriers and obstacles, literally, tangibly, or energetically, which kind of blocked that or diminished that or kept that at a lower or stagnant vibration. Learning to love oneself more deeply by kind of releasing things which are not serving one's highest good, in order to then be able to kind of call in and provide that frequency more reciprocally in an external sense between the two of you. They also say, you and I are past due. It's time we fix that. So if you are in no contact with this person, they definitely could be making these plans and preparations to circle back around to you. And it feels like with the changes that seem to have been happening with them, the energies coming through here, that it's very likely that they will even feel different to you energetically speaking. This is not someone coming back around just to sort of loop in the same old cycles. They've gone through a process of growth. You've gone through a process of growth. And it's time to really accelerate this situation to the next level, to open the doors to more between the two of you, more depth, more beauty, more intimacy than you've experienced with one another up to this point in time, because you've cultivated that for yourselves. So it definitely feels like somebody who may have been in the process of kind of stuffing, suppressing, hiding, running from their feelings. If you've been in contact with them, it's almost like there have been limits or barriers that they have placed upon themselves or that existed within them even prior to meeting you and to starting to interact with you, that kind of it created kind of like a glass ceiling in terms of what was possible, what they were going to allow within themselves, what they imagined they were capable of kind of becoming and expressing and receiving as far as love is concerned. And in a lot of ways, very internally or even in terms of external factors, this is definitely the vibration here of somebody who is consciously and in a very profound way kind of broken through those barriers. They have emerged through that sort of glass ceiling, and there's an openness now. There's a wide expanse. There's room for two people to breathe, which allows for the possibility of kind of breathing new life into this situation. So somebody from the past may be circling back around kind of with a refreshed and kind of a more peaceful energy about them, something different to offer you than what you'd experienced together in the past. And if this is somebody that you're still currently dealing with, it definitely feels like the connection is getting ready to sort of accelerate to the next level based on profound sort of internal work, a battle which has been waged within themselves and in many ways within you also, that it's kind of like the doors are now open for the next stage or evolution of what's possible between the two of you. You've both cleared the space that is necessary to kind of receive what the other has to offer in a more uninhibited fashion, looking with the eyes of love rather than kind of bringing along the baggage and debris of vibrations of fear. So I'm going to get some initials. And this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your soulmate, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got N, E, L, P, N, V, G, D, M, S, J, C, A, R, O, and F. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Caribbean Calcite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your soulmate want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, and they say, I love you more than you will ever know. So this person is definitely sitting in their feelings, very sweet and kind of gooey feelings for you at this point in time. Something may have really happened for them energetically where any kind of resistance or denial or questioning that they had about not fully opening up to the reality of what they feel for you, trying to take too logical approach to this situation, it feels that has given way to kind of this influx or this flow of certainty that the two of you are better together than apart, that their life has been illuminated in a very blessed and beautiful way by virtue of having met you, having interacted with you. They feel so drawn to you, so enamored by you, so fascinated by you, challenged by you, encouraged and uplifted by you. There's a sense here of you helping to really redefine for your soulmate the nature of what love means, what that can feel like, how that can be experienced. It may be something that even with the nature of what they're feeling, they may have tried to put the brakes on or really take a logical approach to the situation, questioning, is this just obsession, or could this possibly truly be love? Could this be sort of a threshold of feeling and experience that is something very new and very novel for me? So any kind of period of resistance, or just really trying to take a grounded and practical approach, somebody who may have been moving very slow in this connection, they are leaning more deeply into the reality, kind of satisfied within themselves that maybe time has really served this situation well, or a period of introspection, or even just needing to approach the situation very delicately and very carefully. It has worked to their advantage. It has served their highest good. They are in a place of peace about this, about with what they're feeling. A place of certainty that may be very new or newly arrived at within them, that it is safe to explore these feelings further, that this is genuine, that this is not just kind of a whimsical, fleeting fantasy, or again, energies kind of that are very constrained or controlling, or very kind of obsession based, but that there's something higher. There's an opening here to a new type of sensation, of emotion that may be very, very new for them, reintroduced for the first time after a long period of maybe just surface level connections, or having their heart kind of on lockdown, maybe closed after a period of heartbreak, and kind of a timid energy about putting themselves out there again, about letting you in fully. But they feel to have really surrendered a lot of that and are now in the process of kind of, exploring ways in which to invest in this connection more, or to really start to feed into and support and nourish the growth and recognition of these feelings within themselves and also outwardly to you. They also say, I'm starting to see how you are my light. So this can definitely talk about somebody that was kind of dealing with some wounds, heartbreaks of the past, going through a dark night of the soul, or just kind of a dark period in their life. You have illuminated something for them, the possibility of another way of experiencing love and partnership, the sense of reawakening to the ability to love again. You have called something forth from deep within their heart that it doesn't feel that they were expecting. They weren't looking for this. They weren't prepared for this as much as they may have even been trying to consciously manifest or call this in. It feels to be the energy of you arrived like an unexpected blessing, something where when they first met you or first saw you or first encountered you, they were drawn to you but had no idea the profound impact that you would have upon them. This is the energy of almost feeling that you in this connection are really heaven sent as well, that they may have been calling out to the divine for assistance, for a sign, for some guidance, some relief in the way forward, and it has been presented in the form and opportunity of this connection, of these feelings, of the possibilities of what might grow between the two of you, or if you find yourself at a distance from one another, at what might still be able to be resurrected between the two of you and appreciated more deeply, or invested in a way that they weren't necessarily ready or able to before. They also say, I miss you regardless of how things look. So definitely if you find yourself at a distance from one another, no contact, or this person has pulled their energy back, maybe you've been in a period of that where they were trying to just keep it on like a friendly level, on a platonic level. There's a sense of really missing kind of that initial spark or intimacy between the two of you, missing the lighter energies between the two of you. They still have feelings in their heart for you. These feelings have grown with time. They have remained deeply anchored despite the passing of time, and however much or in whatever ways that they may have tried to take sort of like a logical or practical approach to this, trying to just look at this situation and these feelings not from the lens of the heart, but maybe more from the distortions of their previous kind of experiences of disappointment and heartbreak, a lot of comparing and contrasting, looking for red flags, self-sabotaging a little bit, kind of creating disruption out of what innately is harmonious between the two of you. And so a period of almost being very antagonistic or mistrusting about the nature of their feelings or your intentions or kind of what's possible in this situation. It feels to be something that they've kind of softened that stance a little bit. They have come to a place of satisfaction. They have vetted this out sufficiently within themselves to where all of the excuses are now threadbare. All of the kind of distortions and distractions and wedges that they have tried to put in place or to kind of keep themselves kind of sequestered or sheltered away from opening up more fully to you and these energies between the two of you, all of that is being dismantled. And kind of the more that they lean into the possibility of that this could be love, this could be the type of love that they had only ever hoped for, something that they've really been craving, they've been needing, that all of their struggles up to this point in time has really equipped them to be able to receive. They've earned the right at this point in their life to be able to experience this type of a love story, different from what they've known in other circumstances. That doesn't come without its own sort of share of challenges, but at the same point in time brings with it the possibilities and the reality of something so much more, something more along the lines of healing and bliss and acceptance and balance and kind of like healthy vibrations as compared to maybe more toxic connections or things that were very one-sided or had a lot of obsession involved and kind of lower density kind of like themes and subjects and circumstances. That this situation, it's a higher vibration, it's a light within the darkness of what the narrative of love and partnership and romance has looked like for them up to this point in time. May have really stunned them when this first came around. This could have been something that there was a lot of denial involved in that, but they're starting to kind of take down those walls and those barriers and really starting to trust in and lean into an energy of faith that this is the real deal. This is the genuine article. This is something that is very much in a lot of ways unlike what they have known and experienced up to this point in time and is worthy of further consideration or a more deep level of commitment or efforts to sort of resurrect or to rebuild this situation. They also say, I feel you in my heart. So a deeply empathic, energetic connection between you and your soulmate, especially if this is a no contact situation or any ways in which they've been very guarded, very closed off. It's almost like you've sat silent vigil with them in the darkness. You have anchored just by your sheer presence on this earthly plane in a physical body at the same time as them with the conscious awareness of one another. This is something that really helps to kind of bring them back to the reality of a different way of being and doing and experiencing themselves, connection, love, partnership, to where when they're running the gamut of all these excuses, all the denial, all the clutter that kind of keeps them backed away or pushing away from this situation, they keep coming back around to the truth and to the reality of the constancy of what they feel. They've been unable to extinguish these feelings for you. And rather than these kind of growing as something, that they are maybe only desiring because it's out of hand, out of reach, they're only coveting that because it's inaccessible or something very new and very novel. It feels to be where they really have put this situation, they have put these emotions through a series of tests within themselves and have now come to a point of satisfaction that this has substantial elements. There's solidity to this. There's a timelessness to this. This bond exceeds kind of the limits of flesh and form between the two of you. And that this is worth investing in more profoundly. This is worth kind of giving credit to, giving credence to, supporting, nurturing, reinvesting in a more dedicated manner than they had in the past. That in so many ways, even just energetically, the consistency in a very neutral and yet ever-present fashion that you have been with them energetically through some kind of process of kind of needing to be at a distance from one another. That consistency, it almost is bringing them closer to an idea or an understanding of what might be defined as unconditional love, in a way that even their deepest and longest and seemingly most intimate partnerships on a physical level didn't reach this level of consistency, didn't have kind of the staying power of whatever sort of trial by fire has really taken place here in this situation internally within. This feels to be somebody who's really tried very hard to kind of stomp out these feelings, question these feelings, try and paint these feelings into be something other than what they are, tried to diminish or lower the vibration or their definition of that. And they have only succeeded in coming back around to the reality that this is a higher level of connection and experience than they have known before. Something that may have only been theoretical, or that they may not have even had any suspicion existed out there in the world. It was like a totally new concept to them. But they have now reached this place within that this is a very unique opportunity that they've been presented with, that they have earned this capacity. This has been kind of the deliverance that they have been searching for in a lot of ways, to kind of help them rewrite the story and to experience something different from the nature of what partnership has looked like for them up to this point in time. They also say, I'm here, I'm right here. So more of that confirmation of a deeply empathic connection between the two of you, a lot of telepathy, a sense of if you feel them energetically around you consciously, they feel you consciously energetically around them. It's almost kind of, there are just a few words or sentences that need to be spoken in order to establish or confirm this for one another. That this is not something that is just happening on the higher realms. This is not someone who's just a companion energy from their higher self, and the 3D self is largely oblivious to all of this. There may have been a point in time where they were trying to kind of deny that, package that into something other than what it was, or to really avoid looking very profoundly at that. But this is the idea of, two people really mirroring this loving energy to one another, two people very much conjoined energetically speaking, and kind of these walls of denial have been broken down, and it feels like it's just a few steps toward really ushering in a new phase between the two of you. They feel you with them. They are consciously making efforts to send you loving energies to ensure that, despite any kind of distance or anything that hasn't been kind of brought to the surface verbally yet, or in terms of through like actions or a return of this person, that you are at least aware that energetically they are deliberately focused on you. They are making their way back towards you. They are interested in reunion or kind of deepening this level of partnership between the two of you. Any period of time of needing to really sort this out or weigh the pros and cons, they have come to the resolution that you are essentially the yin to one another's yang. You are very much well suited to each other in these very kind of intricate ways that go beyond just surface level qualities and characteristics. And the aspect of that may have been something that was very overwhelming or felt too good to be true to them for a period of time, but they seem to have reached kind of a neutral place with that. They've surrendered that kind of doubt and are leaning into the energy of acceptance. They also say, I know that we are not perfect, but we are perfect for each other. So another confirmation there of that yin-yang energy. Despite your differences with one another, despite differences you've had in the past, outward qualities or ways of looking at the world or lifestyles that are just, from the outside, it's kind of like, how do these two people fit together? How is this going to work? This may have been someone who focused a lot on obstacles between the two of you and sort of leaned upon that as reason or incentive to create distance, or to not fight for this connection, or to not try and break down the barriers between the two of you, almost like telling themselves that it's better to not really let this get off the ground because it's just kind of doomed to fall apart anyway. And it feels like this is the energy of having transcended that in a lot of ways, coming full circle to this acceptance that despite these protests and kind of objections within them, all of this is fading away, and there is this recognition that the two of you are better together than you are apart. And in as many ways as it defies logic, as matters of the heart, true matters of the heart, most often do, that they feel very compelled towards you. This can only be defined as love, no matter how, short of a time you've known one another, or how deep and kind of complex your dealings with one another have been. This is kind of this square one, this kind of like back to basics, this very kind of defined and rooted principle here, that they are now in a place of recognizing that they have received an introduction. They have now confronted kind of a new facet or face of the force of love than what their experiences with other people up to this point in time have presented. It's something that is also really presenting them a version of love within themselves that they may have been very unacquainted with. It's almost like as much as they ran from you, they were running from something within themselves. This is someone who's really done a lot of soul searching, it feels like, and they have come home to self, and it is bringing them into this place of wanting to come home to you, to give more to this connection, or to try and make the effort to sort of rebuild with you again. They also say, I am learning that there is no room for love if there is fear within our hearts. So this is the energy of really confronting all of the barriers within and outside of themselves that vibrate at the frequency of what love is not. And they have only been able to really appreciate and see and sense that by virtue of having experienced with you, even just energetically up to this point in time, the nature of what the frequency of love is, what it actually is, what it can be on a higher vibration. Love that is more in the light, love that has growth potential rather than stagnancy or something which limits or constrains or kind of drags down. And there's a lot of resistance that may have gone on within this person to sort of let go of their worldviews, let go of a perception of how they were living their life, what they were calling into their reality, what they thought they needed, what they wanted, the types of partners they were calling in, denial as well, or just kind of ignorance about maybe how some of the partners or the circumstances they were calling into their world, into their reality, were actually being called in, stemming from these wounded, fearful parts of them. Some kind of awareness or awakening has happened with that, and it almost feels that they are starting to put up barriers and boundaries in areas and aspects of themselves and what they're allowing into their life, what they're participating with, where these boundaries are more adequately needed. Learning to kind of let the right ones in, let the right energies in, and kind of push away that which is only serving to perpetuate a wounded and fearful version of themselves. So a lot of personal growth that feels like that has happened with this person through and just kind of by virtue of the fact stemming from the very basic principle of trying to overly logically pick apart these feelings that they have for you, really kind of leaning into the space of putting this energy, this love, these feelings through the test internally. And what has really come of this is that they have put themselves to a larger test. It is not just an awareness that they have of kind of who you are to them, what is possible between the two of you if they move further towards you or seek to kind of resurrect this connection, but it's also really brought some clarity to them as far as parts of themselves that may have been operating kind of behind the scenes and in the shadow, calling in experiences, creating these kind of like trauma bonds with types of people or certain vibrations and frequencies that only serve to perpetuate that path of fear, those currents of fear within. This feels to be someone who's liberated themselves from a lot of that unknowing. They're seeing themselves in a more definite way and are therefore able to see you and this connection for more of what it truly is or can be. They also say we need some time together. So they are wanting to open up to you, wanting some intimate time, some quiet time, wanting to reconnect with you. This feels to be something also that really is kind of stemming from them consciously sending their energy to you, wanting to, not just be sort of a fleeting thought in one another's mind, but to really, have these conscious parts of the day where you're connecting with one another. You may feel this person kind of with you as you're falling asleep, when you wake up in the morning, at precise points throughout the day of just wanting to make this consistent effort to connect with you. For a lot of you, this could be somebody who's getting ready to reach out, getting ready to take down some of those walls and barriers and give more of themselves to you, to allow you deeper into their heart than they had up to this point in time. They have reached a place where they are seeing it is safe to let you in. It is safe to love you and to be loved by you. And they also say we should talk about things and work it out. So another confirmation for a lot of you of someone who's getting ready to come back with, an apology, or to try to open the lines of communication up, wanting to come to you in more of an open energy, with receptivity, actions that prove that they are ready to invest in this situation more, to give you more of their time, more of their energy, more of their receptivity. Less of a fight, less triggering, less resistance to this energy, and more of just flowing into the possibilities of what might develop between you in time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your soulmate, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got F, V, U, W, C, R, N, B, M, L, U, S, A, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the purple fluorite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your soulmate want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, and they say, do I have what it takes? I think about this every day. So if you find yourself in no contact or separation with your soulmate, they may be contemplating a return to your life, wondering if they have changed sufficiently to kind of meet and match you at your level. Maybe an extended period of separation between the two of you where they are seeing some kind of glow up, recognizing energetically that something has shifted within you, that there's almost a call that has been put out to them to rise into a different version of themselves, more of an openness and reciprocity as far as love and partnership is concerned, that they are very motivated to move toward, but there's hesitation as far as, can they sustain that vibration? Are they ready to open the door and let you in fully? A sense of even unspoken words up to this point in time, maybe telling you that they love you, confessing deeper feelings for you, or a desire to commit or to recommit to this connection. But a knowing that once that is unleashed, once that is spoken, once that is expressed, or actions are taken to that effect out in the material world, that there's no turning back from that. And so there is this motivation to change or to step things up or to reinvest or develop this situation further. But they feel to still be in a process of kind of confronting within them all the barriers and prohibitions that stand in the way of them moving into and really embodying more of a full and higher vibration of the frequency of love as it exists within them, which therefore affects what they are able to provide and present and to receive from you in terms of this partnership as well. And they also say, I really love the way you make me feel inside. So this is the energy of an electric connection, a lot of motivation, a lot of inspiration and acceptance that this person feels in your presence when dealing with you. The things that you talk about, even just vibrations that are exchanged, it really opens them up to a new world of possibilities within themselves and how they've been viewing the world, how they've been living their life. You motivate them to change for the better, to start to love and accept aspects and elements of themselves that they had kind of stuffed away, or that previously in other situations had never really been accepted. They had sort of watered these qualities about themselves down, and yet with you there's a freedom there that is very unusual for them. It's something they haven't really experienced with others or haven't really been able to generate within themselves up to this point in time as well. This is definitely a situation where you may have activated something, a heart chakra activation mutually between the two of you, some kind of an ascension journey or qualities within the chakras of the two of you kind of calibrating and coming into alignment with one another that may have been very sort of triggering and frightening for this person. And for you initially, it could have pivoted you two in separate corners, needing to kind of digest all of this, acclimate to this energy. But now there's an urge to sort of circle back around, to move closer into participating with this feeling rather than just having to experience this at a distance with you. And they also say you are everything that I could ever want or need. So they feel a completeness with you. You help to introduce themselves to a complete version of them as well. This may have been someone who has kind of routinely or throughout their life sort of, sought validation from other people. They have only felt kind of worthy and comfortable when in the energies with another person, as far as like admiration, someone who may have had a hard time kind of sustaining themselves, filling their own cup in a lot of ways. But with you and with this experience, with this dynamic, however the story has played out between the two of you up to this point in time, whatever phase of your journey you find yourselves in with one another, there's almost an energy of acceptance here, leading by example, a motivation on how to, step into more of that self-sustaining version, how to set healthy barriers, and yet at the same point in time, to sort of let down walls and guards to allow love to flow more freely. And there's an energy here of, as much as you might challenge or trigger this person directly or energetically speaking, there's also a sense of nourishment. There's a medicine in all of this. Within this same wound is also kind of the element of healing. You're leading by example in a lot of ways for your soulmate as far as how to face one's own shadow and the uncomfortable portions of self to kind of transcend all of that, limits and barriers that stand in the way of becoming that that love which each of you is seeking. And they're seeing you, they're kind of looking to you, maybe watching you on social media, tapping into you, feeling you energetically speaking, or if you're in contact with one another, just the ideas and the things you talk about, or even just an undercurrent of vibration, even in mundane or routine or surface level interactions that you have. They're learning from you. You're exchanging with one another. You're kind of comparing notes vibrationally speaking. And it's something where they don't feel pressured to be anything more than exactly who they are. And yet at the same point in time, you're kind of exchanging the keys with one another to unlock these doors of possibility and potential within yourselves at a very organic and kind of like freestyled pace for the two of you. Different aspects and areas of your journey that you're each needing to walk down. So any pressure that they may have felt previously in this situation, it feels to be something where they're starting to recognize and have done a lot of work to that point of recognition that pressure may have been stemming from something internally within, parts of themselves that didn't feel worthy of stepping into a sense of fullness and wholeness and completeness within themselves, exactly as they are in the ever-changing now, in the ever-changing moment, that ever-changing version of themselves that very kind of consistently matches this ever-changing version of you also. So there's a consistency here, but also this very kind of dynamic allowance to explore and to create and to grow and to transform into kind of different versions of self is what they really feel and experience in this situation. And it's a very uplifting and a supporting vibration that they are sensing and experiencing from you. They also say, I'm not focused. I am losing my balance. So they may be in kind of a rocky period right now of letting some things go from their life, kind of a fear of change, a fear of the unknown, what exists on the other side of that, what must kind of leave their life, or space that must be created in order for something new to really grow and to germinate. This can even tie into ideas about love and partnership, or kind of the definition of your dynamic with one another up to this point in time. If you've been friends, it's kind of a fear of, what if we open up to something more? If you've been at a distance from one another, it's the fear of, is reconciliation possible? If you're in contact with one another, if you've been kind of going through the process of building and developing feelings, it's sort of this fear of, am I ready to take that next, maybe concrete step with this person, something a little more permanent, something a little more stable and solid here. Very much beckoned in the direction of change and growth and evolution. And at the same time, it's kind of a process to sort of shed a version of themselves that doesn't fit or align with sort of what's been awakened, what's been introduced, the possibilities, and kind of this sense of completeness that they are being introduced to within themselves by virtue of having known you, interacting with you, and then also kind of what's possible or encouraged for them independently as well. And then the coming together of the two of you in sort of this new and redefined kind of form and fashion of what is yet to come in this situation. They also say, do you know how divine you are? Do you know how amazing you are? So they are really looking to you energetically, or even just the way you live your life, the way you've been prioritizing healing and wellness and really stepping into alignment with your purpose and your highest good. There's a lot of inspiration and motivation. They feel very supported by you. You're an energetic cheerleader. You may also be a direct support system for them, helping them to work through problems and difficulties, pointing out solutions rather than focusing or fixing on obstacles or creating more problems and obstacles for them. That may have been a theme with people that they've been dealing with previously. And as much as you might challenge them, you might challenge their ideas or, really kind of lead by example. It's sort of a higher standard of moving through the world and a higher standard of a relationship with one's self. At the same point in time, they feel very accepted and encouraged to kind of grow at their own organic pace, to sort of look to you, to look to you as a living example of how you are an embodiment of the force of love, and the way in which that very individualistically has chosen to kind of manifest in you and in your earthly experience. And it's really opening their mind to further examination of kind of this current within. How have they allowed themselves to sort of step into more of that authenticity, that free flow of how the current and vibration and force of love has chosen to manifest through them in this particular lifetime, versus kind of what barriers have been placed or sort of were templated on them, or were absorbed by other connections that sort of stand in the way or limit that capacity for themselves. So a lot of growth-oriented energy in this group right here. A lot of spiritual growth, a lot of activation, a lot of change. And it may be something where a lot of these kind of changes are energetically speaking. This feels to be something where it might not necessarily be at the point yet where there's like these quantum leaps forward between the two of you in terms of like redefining things. It may have just been kind of going through the motions, sort of like a status quo energy, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. It may have even been a period of time where you've needed to kind of move away from one another, or distance yourselves energetically through this process of like personal alchemical transformation that is happening. And this is somebody who's starting to really relate that back to you, seeing and kind of comparing notes as far as changes that are happening with you and how that's manifesting with them as well. Looking to you as this kind of example, being very observant and kind of taking in everything that you are, all that's spoken and all that is unseen, everything that you are vibrationally. And it's causing them to sort of question themselves, to lean into a different area of self-examination than they have been engaged in up to this point in time, to really ask those questions. Who am I? What is this vibration I hold within? Am I in alignment with my highest good? Where have I been settling, even in terms of like outdated stories and patterns, and only kind of looking at the world from the lens of obstacle rather than possibility. And they say, thank you for your patience. So it could definitely be going through a growth spurt for the two of you at this point in time, individually. Maybe things in your lives are changing outwardly, things energetically are changing. This may be somebody who has been very slow to kind of open up, take the situation to the next level, commit fully to this connection, or to really expand and explore the possibilities of kind of what is to come in this situation. It feels like they may still be in the midst of kind of fighting a battle, confronting aspects within themselves that sort of stand in the way or in opposition to this higher vibration that you are beckoning them toward, that you are working towards in your life, that you are the embodiment of in many ways, that is a contrast to certain elements within themselves or certain kind of factors in their life that don't necessarily meet that frequency. They are very interested in kind of what you have to offer in that capacity. They're interested in this kind of spiritual evolution, this vibrational evolution. And with that comes the evolution of how they've defined kind of the interaction or the effect that a love partnership has on another person. This feels to be something that's very much outside of the bounds of just a stirring of romantic feelings. You have stirred your soulmate on a spiritual level. They never knew that this was possible, that this could be a component of a romantic connection. So it almost feels to be something where they're needing to learn a whole new terminology for this, redefine in some way that kind of the ideas of what they have about how romantic partners contribute to one another, what that kind of effect is on one another's lives, what is challenged, what is encouraged for growth, what is provided or reciprocated for one another. They're seeing what you have to offer in terms of this intangible contribution, and it's really making them start to question and to really do that work within themselves, to be able to cultivate or to access a part of them spiritually, to be able to have something more to offer to you, to the next stage in evolution in this connection, or to kind of resurface, not just with the same story or scenario, the same kind of loop that the two of you have been in, but to really be able to accelerate and kind of pivot into sort of this wider arc of what's possible between the two of you. They also say, I need to let my ex go. That pain still lingers. So this can talk about residual heartbreak that they are needing to let go of, wounds and residue that has been left behind by people that were maybe more in a toxic vibration or contributed to some kind of view of inadequacy that this person has had of themselves, or kind of a sour taste that has been left on the idea of love. You represent a sweetness. You represent something different, something more. But in order to be able to access that, to reach that place, to be able to give and receive that properly, it requires letting other things go, moving away from things in their life, maybe disconnecting from another partnership, or from, a part of them that is still kind of clinging to a wounded space within. They need to let go of the old in order for the new to be able to fully be realized in this situation, and most importantly, within themselves, to be able to give and receive with you. They also say, I really do miss you. So if you find yourself at a distance, separation from one another, they are yearning to reconnect. They are wanting to move as quickly as they can beyond this kind of stage of release, of personal introspection at this point in time. It's definitely something that there might be kind of some growing pains going on, a lot of exhausting work for the two of you, things in the material world, things energetically speaking. And it's really also helping them to kind of understand the support system that the two of you represent for one another. That even though there may be kind of complications or silence between the two of you, the wedge or the barrier of like a third party that's still lingering in their energy, or things that they're needing to, like loose ends they need to sort of wrap up in their material world, ideas that they need to sort of elevate beyond, or just a distortion and a view of kind of what romance has to offer, what intimacy looks like between two people, what's possible, what's expected, who they are, separate from kind of these wounds or things that were templated upon them by others who were operating from a very wounded space. Through this whole process, they get these kind of like glimmers and this awareness. They look to you and really see that, kind of beyond the surface, in these higher realms and kind of this spiritual level, the two of you are walking this parallel path at this point in time. And it's helping to kind of give them this motivation to continue along in this process for them. Things that work that they may not have done or been aware of was necessary, or didn't necessarily have the courage or the wherewithal to do before. They're seeing that they're not alone on this path. You both may be going through a process of kind of release, shedding of an old self, old ideas, old relationships, and kind of ushering in a new phase, really becoming that love each of you is seeking individually within yourselves first and foremost, becoming that yin to your own yang in order to be able to exchange that more deeply with one another. But even with that energy here of patience, that this feels to be slow work. It's a slow process, a lot that's needing to be cleared out, a lot of clutter, maybe even things from previous lifetimes or that have been deeply entrenched, inner child wounds, kind of themes and archetypes that have shown up romantically speaking, toxic connections, toxic lifestyle patterns, a toxic way of kind of looking at oneself as a result of kind of how love has not necessarily been fair or right or just in the past, and kind of wiping the slate clean internally within each of you and in your own lives in a lot of ways in order to be able to sort of rewrite a new story of what love and partnership can look like, in the possibility of a next phase between the two of you, a reconciliation, or just taking things to the next level, to another level in this situation. They sense your presence. They sense you with them on this journey, and it makes them feel a little less alone. It gives them that kind of boost of confidence, that boost of energy, that motivation to continue to press, to continue to do this heavy lifting. As much as they may feel that they're fighting gravity at this point in time, they're also recognizing that to take the easy route is to stagnate, that at this point in time they're needing to sort of press beyond that level of discomfort, push themselves up to a new aspect within themselves, a new vibration within, really kind of put in their muscle to sort of clear away all that debris and distortion in order to be able to let the light in within themselves, in order to be able to reach that place where change is possible, not just in terms of between the two of you, but in terms of their relationship with themselves as well. And they also say, I've waited lifetimes to find you. So this can definitely be a past life soulmate connection between that you are experiencing here. Some of this kind of like debris and clutter may also stem from wounds that the two of you have been carrying around at the soul level in conjunction to your dynamic with one another in previous lifetimes. You know, things that are just soul scars at this point in time that don't have a rhyme or reason, things that are just very triggered or kind of, you know, like a fear-based energy between the two of you, that as much as you're kind of clearing things out in terms of this manifestation, this particular lifetime, it feels that there's also kind of this deep dive work at the soul level of deeper energies, energetic hooks that have been entrenched and kind of carried around through the ages, and the two of you really helping one another to kind of extract these things, to understand them in a different way, to try and transcend beyond that, cultivate and call in a new vibration. This also ties into the idea of you are so different from what they have known of love and partnership. You are very different from anyone they've ever known before. You are everything that they could ever want and need. That it almost is making kind of this work, this very kind of difficult, painful and heavy work to sort of change, release old patterns, release old tendencies, rewrite a narrative within themselves. It's worth it, because on the other side of that is the ability to kind of raise themselves to a vibration where the two of you can kind of reintroduce yourselves to one another and have the ability to really experience in tangible form, not just in the realm of fantasy, but here in the material reality, a different type of partnership, kind of something that makes all of the struggles worth it, because on the other side of that has been this kind of introduction of something more, something different, this electric feeling, this very motivational feeling, kind of this encouragement to grow, the triggering to grow, and also the incentive on the other side of that growth phase and growth process. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your soulmate, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, U, B, P, R, G, H, Q, M, E, C, I, U, P, W, and Z. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.